Welcome back. I hope you are enjoying the learning of SQL. As a part of this video, we'll understand group by class. What is this group by? What is this grouping all about? Grouping is nothing but arranging identical data into groups. We do grouping in multiple places. For example, we want to group the people with the same color. We want to group based on the height. We want to group based on the age. We want to group based on multiple factors. We want to group based on multiple parameters. So when we are playing with the data, we also need to group based on particular parameter. If you look at the transactions in Amazon or Flipkart, if a CEO of India wants to get the data on a region wise, on a state wise, on a district wise, that is when you have to go for a grouping of the data based on either a state or a region. So usually grouping is used with the aggregate functions like sum, maximum, average, those aggregate functions. Whenever we are doing an analysis, we usually perform the calculations based on the groups of the data. As I indicated, calculations can be sum of region wise sales. Calculations can be average of marks obtained by students in a class. So usually we perform calculations based on the groups for various purposes. In that case, what we do is when you look at the table, in the table, group the data based on one column and do the aggregations on other column. For example, first thing is whenever you want to group, you will specify the column on which you like to group. As I said, if you are looking at a Amazon or Flipkart, in that case, if you want to get the region wise sales, you will group based on the region. If you want to get the state wise sales, you will group based on the state. And within that, you specify the aggregation. Within region, do you want a sum or an average or what is that you want? When we look at the example, it will be bit more clearer. Usually, whenever you are using a group by class, first we provide a condition with the where class, then followed by group by, then followed by order by. This is the sequence what we follow while using the group by in SQL. How do we really use the group by? The syntax goes like this. We can select the columns and we can specify the function. This is the aggregation function. As I said, it can be sum, it can be average, it can be min, it can be any aggregation functions. And specify the table name. Where is a condition? If you want to specify, you can specify. Otherwise, you can directly go ahead and specify the group by. A column on which you are trying to group by, followed by order by. It is not necessary that you need to use where and order by whenever you use the group by, but we are indicating how usually we use the group by as a part of any common SQL queries. Let's take an example and understand group by in detail. So this is the employee table where we have around 6 columns, employee ID to department ID, and we have around 8 records. Let us understand the group by with this data. Let us say you want to know the sum of a salary in each of the departments. Then you can say select the department ID. It is just a selection. You have to say sum of the salary. This is a aggregation function and this is the name of the column. Then specify the table name and specify the column on which you want to group by. I want to group by here on the department ID. So how does this work? Pay attention here. When you say group by department ID, in this particular column, it will look for the same values. In this case, one, another one. This is formed as a group one. Okay. In this group, it will go and find the sum of the salaries. A column on which you are trying to group by, and within each of the group, this aggregation function will be applied. So now we are saying sum of the salary. Group 1 is department ID 1. In this group, it will take 30,000. Then we have 75,000. Then we have 60,000. So it will add up to 0, 5. Then we have 13 plus 13. So it will be 1,65,000. Sum of all the employees in department ID 1. The same iteration will be continued for all the group. The second group would be department ID 2. What are the salaries there? 28,000 and null and 90,000. So 90 plus 28 is going to be 1,18,000. This is how group by works. So you can group by based on one column, and you have to specify aggregation on another column. This aggregation can be any function. For example, here we are trying to sum. It can be average, it can be max, it can be min. Depending upon what you are trying to do, you can group by on a particular column and perform an aggregation on another column. Awesome, isn't it? So the result of this is department 1, 1,65,000. The second group is 1,18,000. The third group is 80,000. This is how group by works. We can also use the group by with the condition, and also you can use a order by. As I indicated earlier, in terms of sequence, where class comes first, then group by comes next, then order by comes. How does it work now? In this table where 8 records are there, first this particular condition is applied where age is greater than 25. Whichever the records qualify this, only those records will be considered for group by. In this case, age should be greater than 25. This record, this record, this record, this record, this record, and this record. So this record will not be considered. This record will not be considered. So now this record is not there. Department ID is not considered. So next in the 1, you can see only these 2 records. In 2, we have these 2 records. In 3, we have these 2 records. So sum will be calculated for only these values, where those values which have passed this particular condition. After that is done, if there are multiple values in the same group, order by will be applied in that particular group. So the result here is department ID is 1,35,000, department ID 2 is 90,000, 3 is 80,000. Wonderful. We understood how the group by works. This is one of the very, very important class. We'll be using this left and right as a part of your SQL statements. Please do practice and explore more. Thank you.